I think I just bit into a plummet, because this is The Pits. This week on Hapless Heroes.
We get a short rest while we're falling to the ground.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to an exciting episode of the Hapless Heroes podcast. I'm Francesco,
Hi, Fran.
and I am your host and DM as we deal with something very scary and immediate and dangerous. And are we going to reset? Are they not going to reset? Can we salvage this? What will happen before we figure that out? On my virtual left, we have Dave playing Zero Valen's Avatar of War,
Evening, everyone.
Nicole as Boris the Butcher,
Goldfish, goldfish, goldfish.
Phil as Hedrick the Entertainer,
And I'm free falling.
yeah, Zach as Pregnart,
Something about the droop.
and John as Lord Jarrell the Light.
Well, this is certainly not good.
Speaking of not good, once again, Mike is not with us tonight, but will be rejoining us soon. However, in the immediate, bunch of y'all are fallen from the sky, of which you are like many thousands of feet above the ground.
Yes,
Yes,
and it seems
three.
that the ground is being kind enough to get out of the way for us.
It is, because there's also a fissure that is literally has spread out from where the base of where the ley line is coming out of the ground and has literally split the city of Ul in half and is continuing to travel out as far as you can see. And you are falling.
Pregnart uses message to talk to all of his compatriots, and he goes,
Form the flying star. Go.
and then that's the instruction to get into one of those skydiving formations to increase drag, where we all join hands.
You know what? I love this, and I would like everyone to make me either, and I'll give everyone their choice, because we got some strength people here, we got some dex people here. I want to see acrobatics and or athletics checks from the group, and I'll just go around in a circle. I mean, I definitely this leans more heavily onto acrobatics. So if you're choosing to use athletics, you're going to be a little bit more heavy-handed with your approach. However, we'll address that. So I'm going to ask you for your roll and what skill you chose, starting with 0.
All right, so let's see. In the die, we have a 16, so with a plus... See, I got plus 8 for athletics, so I'll take my 24 there.
Okay,
I guess I could go 20 acrobatics, but I like my athletics even higher.
that's fine. That's so. Yep, 24. You said.
Yep.
24 athletics. Boris, I'm assuming acrobatics.
I am, in fact, choosing acrobatics, yes.
Okay, and what was your roll there?
I rolled a 15 on the die, which means I have a 30.
Yeah, right, because of you. Yeah, right. Hedrick.
Acrobatics, 9 on the die, plus 13, 22.
Excellent. Pregnart. He says.
He calls the play and can't execute.
I have an answer. Before I answer your question, before you ask it, Jarrell, I will say that the inspiration I gave you last episode was adult onset inspiration. So you could choose to give that to Pregnart here if you feel that this is the right moment. So Pregnart, what is your question?
I was gonna ask if Phil's inspiration from a couple episodes ago, it was...
It lasts 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I don't
I
know
think
how
it's-
long.
Hint.
I think it's been a little more than 10 minutes.
Hint, I need inspiration, hint.
Jarrell, would you like to give your inspiration to Pregnart?
I'm going to be honest, and
All right.
I used it for the religion check.
Okay.
Oh,
I could have just
wonderful.
said, yeah.
All right. Well,
Oh, wait. Oh, shit. I was just going to say, I don't know how many rounds we fought with Ebenezer, but then we stood around kind of deliberating while the earth split open.
Right.
Wait, hang on a second. I'm checking my ability notes.
That's
For the
perfectly
water.
fine. That's
And for
perfectly
the
fine.
Falling sphere of water.
Right, I was gonna say, yeah, just be like water, literally. Oh man. Yeah, would Pregnar just splash onto the ground if he was like his water form and then just reform into Pregnart? I don't know. I mean, you have a ways to fall, so.
I feel like the ground might be the better of the two potential outcomes for things to hit on the way down.
Well, needless to say, I rolled a nat 1.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, let's put a pin in that. Just humor me. Which skill did you choose? Acrobatics?
Acrobatics.
Wonderful. Jarrell, what skill did you choose? I'm assuming athletics.
Yep.
And your roll.
I ended up with a 26 total.
Wonderful. Lots of great rolls, except for one of them. So, the four of you lock hands. Pregnart, you are maneuvering yourself to actually be in position between Jarrell and Zero. And they're kind of coming in a little hot. So as you had to go grab their hands, like they almost like slap you 5, but like your slippery hands just slip right past them and you plummet further down. So now you guys are in a 4 formation, but Zero and Jarrell have their hands. Each of them have a hand free. Boris, I'm going to say you're grabbing onto Zero, and Hedrick is grabbing onto Boris and Jarrell.
Is there any way that Jarrell could try to reach and grab the Pregnart?
You all will have to make a concerted effort to catch up. So, what I'm going to have everybody do now, once more, as now we've seen the situation, we are falling, and Pregnart is falling just a touch faster than us now. Give me. What would you all attempt to do as a group? Like, let's make a split-second decision, and we'll roll some more dice. Because who doesn't love rolling dice in this game?
I'm gonna make the split section, if I'm allowed. Make the
Please,
split second
please. If you
decision.
have something to do right now, tell me.
I'm going to shift form into my watery Alex Mack form, and shift around until I can match terminal velocity with the group.
Interesting. Okay, let me roll some arbitrary dice here.
I'd imagine you flatten out like a watery carpet.
I like the mental image of this, so I might just go with it.
It just
Yeah,
says
sure,
I
why
can
not?
enter a liquid state, so I think I can.
Yeah, no. I'm just rolling something for myself because I like to roll things sometimes just to scare you all.
I'm just gonna say.
I
that
mean,
can
for
enter
purpose.
any form or shape that I so please. If I'm
Yeah,
free fall,
you're in a liquid state.
in effectively 0G.
I feel like there's a slight. I mean, I can't really say it would be a mass difference because it's still like it's just you in liquid form. So like, but I mean, maybe there would be a little bit more air resistance.
What I'm
I
saying
guess
is that I'm going to shift myself around in order to make myself more or less aerodynamic in order to match terminal velocity.
almost
with the
like
group.
almost like you're creating a watery parachute.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Fuck it. It sounds kind of cool. You're able to do that so that you can catch up, and I'm gonna have you make the same acrobatics check for me, please.
19.
19's good enough. Okay, you're in the star formation. You're falling, and it's still falling pretty fast. Maybe not as quite as fast as you would before, but you're free falling, all of you. It's probably gonna be maybe about a minute or two before you make.
Ooh, and in addition to doing that, I spread myself out further in my watery form and kind of make contact.
Well, no, you. I would
make
argue.
contact
Hold
with
on.
everybody's hands and feet, and I make myself an even broader parachute, and I slow us down even more.
I would argue that you can't really grab onto water,
Damn.
so you would have to shift back to Pregnart to grab hands, because you're water otherwise, and that's not going to work.
That's
You can't just grab a fistful of water and hang on to, like, put a grip on it. You're not like a non-Newtonian fluid or something like that, right?
All right. Where are we in free fall? Do you think?
You're like I said, you have about maybe a minute, maybe two before you hit the ground.
All right.
Um,
Pregnart sends a message to everybody again, and he says,
All right. I'm going to try to time it just right so that when we are just about 100 feet from the ground, I'm going to cast reverse gravity. So we fall into the reverse gravity cylinder and we get caught and we are safely transported to the rest of everything.
Well,
You might even-
We'll
be brought back up and then dropped again.
Yeah,
Pregnart.
we'll be safely transported 100 feet above the ground.
And then I will cast the watery sphere and we'll all get into it and then we'll all safely be transported to the ground.
You have, just in case you weren't aware of the option, you can end the spell shortly after you cast it. So you can literally use it to break your fall, and before you guys are lifted too high up, just end it. And instead of falling from thousands of feet in the air, you're only falling from like 10 feet.
I'm just gonna. Actually, we should just all get into my watery sphere right now, because as it stands, and I forget how we did it last episode. If I cast it, and it's more than 10 feet above the ground, it slowly sinks to the ground.
I feel like it's still going to fall pretty fast with all of you in it.
Wasn't it plummeting to the ground?
Yeah, it
if
was-
I remember correctly.
If inspiration has ended, I'm pretty sure that watery sphere got a pretty good head start on us. I don't think we'll be able to catch it in time.
Oh, I can't cast. I can cast it again.
It says,
Edric-
yeah, because it says the sphere can hover, but no more than 10 feet off the ground. So here's how I'm reading this, okay? It says that when you move the sphere, you can move it up to 30 feet in a straight line, and it says if it moves over a pit, a cliff, or other drop-off, it safely descends until it is hovering 10 feet above the ground. So, the way I read this is, you could, but the thing is, like, you'd have to, the sphere only encompasses a 5-foot radius, so, actually, a radius of 5 feet would get all of you if you
Yeah,
put it in
one-
this. Yeah.
It says
So-
it says it can only do 4 medium creatures. So one of us would have to get into Boris's pocket of holding.
Or you just be like water.
Oh
Or
right.
one of us could.
Just shift into water.
You just be-
add to the water.
Yeah. More water.
Okay.
I
just
absolutely
ba-
want to see this.
Okay, I was gonna say, just based on the sheer genius of this idea, I'm saying that yes, 100%, you can use this as long as Pregnart, after casting this spell, you enter your watery state. All 5 of you can safely descend to the ground in a watery sphere.
Okay. Pregnart casts watery sphere around everyone. Pregnart makes sure he's safely shifted into water form and combines with the sphere. And the sphere begins to take us safely down to the surface.
It does. It takes a little bit longer because essentially you opened the parachute like super early.
How long exactly would it take for us to descend to the ground?
unless you wanted to wait to do this.
I
Until
figure
you're
it
a
took
little
them
closer.
about 30 seconds out of that minute fall just to put this together.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well,
That's true.
'Cause
how,
I
how
had to
long?
communicate with people for a second.
That's
Yeah.
true. So you have been falling for a bit to like make this plan. We didn't really do it in character, but let's just have it as read. This plan has been formed, and I love it. So, yeah,
So
we'll just
are
say
all
that
like
like
water.
you are all like water, and like the watery sphere parachute has been deployed essentially. So you get to kind of just like from within this watery sphere, you're kind of like all bumping into each other a little bit. It's like you're trying to find a way to just, I don't know, like kind of still yourselves, you know, because you were holding on to each other. So you're just trying to make sure this thing is not like spinning you around like you're in some sort of like hamster ball essentially. That's just like, you know, rolling
I was
around and
gonna-
tumbling
I was
around in the
gonna
sky.
say, we're not immediately absorbed into this, right? We can stick our heads out.
Yeah, I'll say you could do that. You could poke your heads out of this water. It's just the visual for this is way too fucking funny for me to like not allow it to happen. I really love this a lot.
Like, if there's time, we need to stick our heads out, right? We need air.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to see this anime version where there's two big bulbous eyes and a ridiculously wide mouth on this sphere of water, and there's four little heads of everyone else like sticking out of this thing.
Sure.
We're trying to tread water, because it has its own.
Yeah, you guys are. Yeah, it's almost. That's actually pretty much like kind of what it's like. Is that you guys are like almost like trying to. You're floating in it, right? And just like your heads are sticking out. Sure. So you get to watch what's happening around you. As this fissure spreads below, right? Because it's still moving. The beam of the ley line itself begins to. It looks like it's almost starting to expand. Before, again, you see one of those like huge pulses of energy that just like travels up into the sky. And then as it sort of reaches beyond the cloud of the fog of war, there's just sort of this, again, flash, like big flash of light. And then the energy from the ley line briefly disappears. And then almost as if like something like powers on again for the first time, this sound again, this like almost like electrical magical energy begins to crackle. You can almost see like at the base of where the ley line was, like this crackling energy. And now the energy from the ley line fires off in the two polar directions that the fissure is moving along. It almost creates like this band of magical energy that is now like splitting the city of Uul. Literally across like its east and west poles, just like exactly east and west split, so that the north and the south, there's literally a north section of the city and a south section of the city. And it is now like just this beam of light is going out as far as you can see in either direction, up to the horizon and curving over it.
So it was x-axis, now it's y-axis.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good? Is that bad?
And now the flashing above begins to cease a bit.
I'm wondering what happened to the portal that was coming through the beam leading to the convergence where Primus came through.
You can hear Vecna begin to just start cackling even more maniacally above you. You can't see him, but you can hear his voice. And he says, "Fools! You've done all the hard work for me. Thank you for your service." And then you don't hear him anymore.
We still see any Modrons alive, or is it just the massive dust cloud?
Well, yes, actually, you see a little bit more than that too. So all the Mordrons that were like descending upon the city of Uul, like, either in those falling columns or in those like buzzing around with the ones that could fly. The ones that are hitting the ground now, like you can see from above, like they're all starting to look around now really confused. And as well, the ones that are flying down stop in midair and are like, almost like, I'm not going to say frozen, but you can almost see like their eyes are spinning. Like, they don't know what's going on.
Are they beach
They're
balling?
beach balling. They're beach balling. And so it's like, it's almost as if maybe their connection to Primus has been severed. And now, presumably, there are thousands of rogue Modron here and trying to figure out what's going on.
We get a short rest while we're falling to the ground.
No. Nothing about this is restful. And no. You eventually do make it down to the ground. You can see that there's just like a ton of like ash and dust all over the ground. There are plenty of dead mages You can see that there are still people being funneled into the tower, whoever is remaining. It appears that Filbert and Ebenezer are among those ushering folks into the tower, whoever, like any of the survivors. There's Scoodleboot. Mildred is also up there. You can see that she's producing she's literally picking up pebbles off the ground and like pieces of rubble and like etching some sort of runes into them and enchanting them and handing them to some of the people who are walking in and instructing them on what floors that they're being sent to and trying to just organize where people are supposed to go to be safe. There is it's pandemonium. The Modrons are not attacking anybody anymore. They're actually just standing there looking entirely confused and befuddled, as if like they're just like at least in this present moment in time, like inactive. You can hear some of them even saying out loud, reconnecting, attempting to establish connection to host. Reconnecting.
They're not so much rogue Modrons, they're just unpaired.
And you guys, I'll say that you guys land just on the other side. Like, so like you're staring at the tower to the south of you, and you're on the north side of where this beam of energy is splitting the city in half.
So we're cut off, even though we can see through this beam of energy.
And now it's a little easier for you to see how wide this is, and we're talking like this is probably like this gap here has to be at least 50 feet wide. And it's just teeming with energy. You can't see below, or it's just bright light. And it's pulsing, but it seems to be like, it's not like aggressively, like it's not spreading any further. It's not doing anything like that. It's almost just starting to create essentially what could be equivocated to like a magical equator as far as you can see. It's like leveled buildings. It's, you know, like you can see, like, I mean, there are buildings around you, like parts of the walls have collapsed, right? Like the structure that was supporting the ley line has like been split in two, and half of it is collapsed on the southern side of this plaza.
Is it getting worse?
It doesn't appear to be getting worse. It's already pretty bad.
Hedrick's gonna try to just throw a mundane object into the beam. He's going to throw a candle.
Sure, it disappears into the beam.
Okay, I just want to make sure it was vaporized completely.
There's like this like low hum, right? Being so close to it that you can almost hear, right? Because it's just, like I said, it's just teeming with energy. But like it looks relatively stable, I guess, is for something that just, you know, rocked an entire city / continent / planet, maybe.
Jarrell will walk near it and use divine sense.
Okay. Nothing of the criteria that divine sense allows you to notice.
Just trying to make sure that like Ebenezer isn't part of it now.
No, actually, yeah. Like as far as like anything undead or anything like that, like you're not feeling that in the range that, you know, you can feel it in. Even walking around a little bit, it doesn't start going off immediately. Like alarm bells don't start going off aside from the probable alarm bells of the aftermath of what the fuck is happening down here. I mean, there's a bunch of bodies kind of spread across the ground, like people who had just been, you know, like parts of people that have been vaporized by the blast. Like it's grisly, it's gruesome, it's terrible, and they're just trying to get people into the tower and safe.
About how far away are they? 50 feet gap, and then beyond that,
probably another 75 feet beyond that. Like, you know, like it's like, because I remember those structures were, or maybe actually more than that. It'd probably be about like 200. Yeah, I'm trying to think of length.
You picked
about 200 feet.
5-foot increment past any 120 foot range.
About 200. Yeah, sorry. Let me set that over. About 200 feet past that is like the steps of the tower, right? Because these structures were relatively close to one another, right? Like, this is not these aren't like they're not too far from each other, but the tower does remain standing. You can see a few cracks have formed in the side, but it is still sturdy.
Would you say that any like Filbert he's 250 feet away or 240 feet away?
If it matters to you, and if you're trying to do something, then I'll say 240.
All right. Hedrick's gonna cast message and use his amplifier.
Okay.
Range of 120 to 240.
Sure. Yeah.
Try to talk to Filbert. Hey, man, we just landed on the other side of this fissure with the beam. We need you to find that Modron. We need you to scry on him and locate him. He's the only thing that we know anything about the ley line.
He responds and he says, I really need to help my dad, but I mean, they all look the same. Like all these little boxy ones that came down here, they all look like him. Like I don't know which one would be it. Which
You've
would
only
be
met
it.
one before.
I just want to get as far away from these things as possible. Just a few minutes ago, they were trying to stab us.
And now they don't know what to do.
Hold on. Give me a sec. And the message ends. You can see him talking to Ebenezer and like pointing in your direction because they could, like he looked over and they can see you now, right?
Is there anyone, while they're figuring that out, is there anyone who wasn't dead, like just at 0 health points?
There's probably, I would. It's safe to assume there's probably a lot of very injured people, but I wouldn't say that they're necessarily within range because anyone that would have been super close to the structure like this would have just been probably like killed outright.
I've
like
only
super
got
close to it.
A couple minutes left, but if anybody's at 0, they can get 1 HP.
Yeah, I'll say that maybe there's a couple people maybe under some rubble that like start to like you start seeing some arms moving, right, and like. A wand will like produce itself from the rubble, and like some of the stones start to levitate and lift, and like a couple of people pull themselves out from under it, and just like they're like coughing. They look pretty worse for wear, but they just look at you and they just say, "Thank you, oh goodness, thank you." And then they look at the gigantic beam of energy that's sort of split,
going the wrong way.
Yeah, and they say, "By the gods, what has happened here? How do we get across? We all need to get to the tower."
Boris picks up a stick and pokes the ley line. Like as opposed to throwing something in it, she wants to like poke it so she can look at the end of the
Yeah,
thing
we'll say that. Yeah, you could probably find like a stick or a branch from one of the trees that were in this plaza that had been like blasted apart. Yeah. And yeah, you poke the ley line, you stick it in, and as you pull it out, like the actual like part of the stick that you stuck in there is like singed off. It's gone.
There's just nothing there at all.
Nothing.
Just like the stick is ended with like a burn mark. Okay.
Yeah, it's not even smoldering anymore. It's literally just like it's done. It's just.
But it looks like it was burned. Like it's not just like it's cut off. It's actually like blackened or whatever at the end of the stick.
It's hard to tell because everything is a little bit blackened right now, but it's gone. There is another pulse of energy that kind of goes in both directions. Very small, but it just kind of happens very quickly and then stops again.
Well, this clearly wasn't the plan. We didn't know Ebenezer could dive right in. I don't know what Vecna's doing up there, but I gotta imagine he's reforming a new attack.
How far are we away from the source of the ley line?
How far are you from that? I mean, you landed not too far from it. Like, I would say maybe you're, I don't know, like 50 feet from like where the structure, like it's like half of it is still standing.
I've got an idea.
Okay.
Lay it on me, little buddy.
Let's hear it.
I want to cast Earthquake on the ley line.
What exactly are you trying to achieve?
I don't want to see.
Just fuck shit up?
Yeah.
I'd protest, but I'm not sure we can make it worse.
Let's try anyways.
Pragnar casts Earthquake on the source of the ley line.
Okay. Please describe to me what Earthquake does exactly.
It does a lot. Hang on. Let's take a look. It's in my book. You create a seismic disturbance at a point on the ground that you see within range. For the duration, an intense tremor rips through the ground in a 100-foot radius circle centered on that point and shakes creatures and structures in contact with the ground in that area. The ground in the area becomes difficult terrain. Each creature on the ground that is concentrating must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the creature's concentration is broken. When you cast the spell, and at the end of each turn you spend concentrating on it, each creature on the ground in the area must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the creature is knocked prone. This spell can have additional effects depending on the terrain in the area, as determined by the DM. Fissures, it can affect structures, it can affect creatures. I don't know. Friend, do you want to take a look at the
No.
as per DM effects?
No. That's fine. As per DM, I like those effects are a suggestion.
Mhm.
I'm gonna take my own route here.
But,
So you're trying to
yeah.
what's the radius again? Give me the radius one more time.
100 feet.
100 feet. Wonderful.
I just want to see what'll happen.
Did we just become terrorists?
No, we're
I think we've been.
Is anyone
on and
going
off
to
a couple times?
No, see, the
Is
way I
there
think
any-
about this is that, like, you know, when like a tub is draining and it gets going and it forms the funnel, and if you
If you just explode the tub.
No. If you disturb the funnel, it starts to drain slower.
You're just chucking a mate in there, right? What's the worst that could happen?
Any objections to this before we?
Yeah.
before it happens?
Jarrell would try to talk about it
Is
for
it,
sure.
like, where exactly, if the tower is beyond, and it's like, 200 feet beyond this ley line, like, I mean, you're still affecting things that are going to be next to or adjacent to the tower.
Like the people.
Like all the people.
The rest of the city.
Hundreds of proud citizens.
Yeah, but if it doesn't work, we could just eat a peanut butter cup.
Oh my god.
You kill 200 everyone within a 200-mile diameter, but
Feet.
we could just eat a peanut butter cup.
Okay.
Horace is
So-
on board. I've already rolled for evasion.
I thought the schism was like something like 100 feet across or something like that. And if I centered the earthquake strategically, then I can.
I said the schism was 50 feet across.
Damn it.
So that like 25 feet on each side would be affected by the earthquake. That's not terrible. Nobody should be that
No.
close to the chasm anyway,
it's-
except for us.
No, it'd be 170, or it'd be 75 feet on each side of the chasm.
So permit me to
Oh,
be the devil on everyone's shoulders here real quick. All of these people were technically dead before we got here. So any single one of them that we save is a bonus. So in essence, we're just spending house money in pursuit of the ultimate goal.
Ah,
The collateral.
Jarrell, you
Yeah,
should
that's
have a
right.
problem with this. Jarrell, you
I
should
do.
have a problem with this.
I
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a
Gerald-
feeling you might see it that way.
If Pregnart is announcing that he's going to earthquake everything for still unknown goal here,
It
I'm
makes
not sure
sense.
what.
It makes sense.
He's
If you
gonna say to
explode the
Pregnant-
bathtub.
Yeah, exactly. Pregnant, that city has already been almost completely destroyed. Do you really want to ruin what's left of it?
No, it's like when the bathtub drains and it's a funnel, and if you wave your hand around and disturb the funnel, then it drains slower.
But there are still living people in the tub, Pregnant.
I can strategically center the earthquake to minimize collateral.
You don't want the magic to go away, though, Pragnot. This is now where the magic comes from. You are magic.
Seems like a good idea to kind of shut this thing off.
Well,
It could have very many unintended consequences.
I appreciate the metaphor, and it's completely on brand for you. I just believe this may be a little bit too risky for our present situation.
Remember, the whole reason that we're here is because that ley line exploded. There's something similar to that.
How far away are we from the ley line again?
What did I say? Like 75 feet from it?
Yeah. Is that what you said?
Well, we had to get close enough to try to throw something through it. Or
Oh
to
yeah,
get
so I
at
guess
it.
you're kind of like right next to it.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
Boris was testing out poking
poking
with
with
a
a
stick.
You've convinced me to not cast Earthquake. And real quick, Pregnard casts
However-
reverse gravity on the center of the ley line.
Interesting. Let me think for a moment on what would happen.
50-foot radius, 100-foot high, cylinder.
Punch a
center.
hole through the magic beam?
How would gravity affect a beam of energy?
Which I imagine it stretches up to the atmosphere.
Well,
Like,
No,
no,
it's-
it's a 100-foot high cylindrical reverse gravity field that I'm casting.
I'm saying the beam
Oh, yeah.
itself, the beam itself stretches up to like the atmosphere.
Well, did.
It did. Before. Yeah.
This is the interesting intersection between physics and metaphysics.
Yeah, and I get to make up whatever I want to happen here. It's just a matter of what do I want to happen here. You successfully cast reverse gravity on that area, right? You're kind of centering it sort of where the structure used to be, sort of surrounding, right? Like the kind of where it was.
Yeah.
Um,
What is it? It's a 50-foot radius, and I tried to cast it as well as possible, just direct centered on the ley line.
Okay, you do that, and you can see that like the energy is almost like trying to move upwards. Like it's almost like you can see it like waving, and it's actually sending ripples across out from it, as if like now this beam of light is like a very slight, like sine wave, very very slight, but there's some wiggle now to the beam.
Does that mean that we can see like clearly as the wave?
It's not going super high. It's not going super high, right? It's
But
just
what-
it's a very
is it-
gentle wave.
Is it creating like temporary
Visibility
channels
underneath.
where
No.
possibly we could be able to pass through?
Oh, jump across maybe?
Yeah.
50-foot jump is a pretty far one.
Yeah, well, there's other means of traveling rather than jumping.
That's true. I mean, you would have been able to like maybe put put something over it. Like it wasn't like protruding from the surface too much, but the waves are causing it to do that a little bit. If anything, now it's a little bit more dangerous to cross.
Does it make a sound, and if so, can we play it?
That is a great question. It's at low hum, so maybe it's at a frequency that's maybe it's hard to hear the oscillation. But it's definitely there probably is happening to those who would have like the low frequency hearing for such a thing.
Do we see any like people or objects, like sort of?
Raising up from it.
Do we see any like people or objects like emerge from it? Like anybody who has disappeared into it previously, or any like large chunks of rubble rise up to disturb it?
None so far, because anything that would have been underneath it would be rising up into it, and well, we see what happens when stuff touches it. So
Boris pulls out and points at the ley line to, see if her robot dog notices
Okay,
anything different
you
about the noise.
point the dog at the ley line, and it just goes, "Oh, rough, oh, rough."
I mean, okay, it's not like howling or like angry about the noise or anything.
Oh, it was just spouting hot takes.
So I just want clarification. Like it's a 50-foot wide gap, but how tall? It goes straight up into the sky, right?
Well, no, like the beam is almost like it's centered in like, it exists inside of this like chasm that's been
Okay.
created.
Okay, so
Not
there's
above
nothing
it.
in the
It's not
areas-
going up to the sky. It's not creating
Yeah.
like an impassable wall.
I thought it was a wall.
No, it's below ground. It's like literally forming like a ring,
Okay.
presumably around like the horizon, right?
Yeah. Real quick, I polymorph either Zero or Jarrell into some sort of giant eagle to carry Boris and Pregnard across, and then I will dimension door with whoever's left to the other side.
Could do that. Again, like the wave is still disturbed. Like the reverse gravity is still being concentrated on. And some of the other mages see what you're doing, Pregnart, and they're like, "Wait a second, it's responding to the spell. Quickly, over here!" And now a group of wizards show up and all begin to cast reverse gravity centered on the very same point that Pregnart is concentrating on.
Nice.
And they're all like, now the wave is starting to get more aggressive, right? You can hear like the earth below it like starting to like rumble again
Quake?
because it is quaking.
Nice.
You almost got it. Yeah, you almost got it, Vector.
And suddenly the beam, like you almost see it like start to flicker and flicker and flicker, and then just like almost an instantaneous flash, it shoots up. And they're like, "We're not going to be able to hold this forever. The structure is completely destroyed. There's no way that we can focus on this for long enough to repair everything. We would need incredible power to do so."
Can I cast Reduce on the ley line?
I don't think that's going to work, but I love where your head's at. Okay, like I'm
Shucks.
bending the rules. I'm bending the rules enough as it is over here. Like let's not. I don't want to get too far afield here. All right, so that's happening currently. There is a brief reprieve, is sort of like, I mean, the chasm now you can see like sections of it just because of the way that the wave was moving through it are probably a few hundred feet deep, and others are a little bit less, maybe like about 100 feet, maybe just a little less. It's hard to say, but like it's just there now. Like you could, you could probably like lay something across it if there's something long enough to do that, to like traverse it, or you could kind of find whatever way you want across. But it is still dividing everything. You can see that there's a few other wizards that attempt to cast Mold Earth, and they actually create essentially a land bridge from one side to the other, just shaping some of the dirt, debris, and dust into like an actual bridge. Because magic.
Jarrell starts helping some of the people across it.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't a ton of people stuck on this side because everyone was kind of already heading towards the tower and being funneled in. So thankfully, the majority of the foot traffic is happening on the other side. But yes, anyone else who was stranded on this side is able to now cross.
Well, it's a lot easier than burning all my spell slots.
Yeah, they took care of that for you. There's a lot of spell slots to go around up in here. The Modron are still, again, standing there. There's probably, within just in eyesight here, kind of scattered across the plaza, probably at least 50 that you can see of all different shapes and sizes. Several boxes, a few spheres, a couple of the like pyramid-shaped ones, some of the shield-shaped ones. But they're all still kind of just standing there motionless. Except for, again, their eyes just beach balling.
Once the last couple people have crossed the bridge, Jarrell will turn to one of the mages and say, "What do you need to sustain this?"
We need to repair the structure. This took many moons to accomplish, and many people before us. It would take far too long to explain.
Do you think the Modrons could help?
They were just attacking us. How would we even be able to utilize them to do this?
They seem
only
confused
receive
right now.
Yes, that is very true.
Trying to think, what could we do to compel the Modrons to purpose?
The Modrons need a Primus. Just looking up at where the Primus was, what happens to be there or not there in this case?
You can see some of the dust has sort of been pushed aside from the beam once again traveling upwards, and just the energy that it took and to force some of the air away from the dust. The portal that Vecna entered through is gone, and so is Vecna. The moon has begun to move, so that it is no longer dead center on the ley line. And the beam is just in the air, still crackling with energy, you know what I mean? But it is relatively stable, and the convergence appears to have ended. Possibly.
Zero, you are both a robot and a god. Is there any way, potentially, that you could maybe entice these Modrons?
Zero.
I
You're gonna have to dig deep for this one. I would like for you to just roll me a d20, please. And just let me know what number comes up.
5 on the die.
5 on the die. Your connection with Moradin, it's stronger than it's ever been before, obviously, because you're able to almost speak in tandem with as each other. And you definitely feel some of that divine spark within you, just based on that sort of essence of and spirit of Moradin that you are currently housing. But you don't feel like you've fully unlocked. There's almost like there's something that is missing to bridge the gap between you and Moradin that would allow you to sort of, I guess, access the deepest parts of his essentially creation abilities and his and your just the core of your magical being. It's hard for you to know. It's a feeling, and it's hard for you to describe a feeling because feelings aren't something that you typically have. But it's the only way I could describe it to you is that it's some sort of it's a feeling that there's something blocking that full potential. There's something in the way.
It's a process. We're not there yet. We will be, but that doesn't really help us right now.
Does anyone want to go investigate any of the Modron or anything like that?
Yeah, certainly. Hedric's never seen one before. Maybe Boris, you want to come with me and check one of these out?
Yeah, I'll poke it. Boris pulls her dagger out and walks towards one.
Yeah, don't show it any signs of aggression. I'm sure there's at least some sort of automated defense system with these things, but they should be docile.
She hides her dagger behind her back and continues to approach it.
Okay.
Waving with the other hand.
Pick a shape for me. Do you want a sphere? Do you want a box? Do you want a
triangle?
I
you
pick
want
a box.
Pyramid?
Yeah, the pyramids. Yeah, give me
the pyramid.
Pyramids.
Let's start with Hedrick then.
Did they have wings?
The pyramids have wings. Coming out from two of the corners, of the pyramid shape.
Sure. I imagine it like a snitch, where they flutter. They flutter. And
it's almost the same kind of material too. Just but more bronze than gold.
Mm-hmm. 1 eye or 2 eyes?
This one has 3 eyes.
3 eyes. Makes sense.
And all 3 eyes are kind of just spinning around.
Beach balling.
Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna get much from these, Boris. I mean,
do you touch it? Do you what do you do?
I would address it first.
Okay. What do you say?
Excuse me, dear pointy friend, former adversary. We are at your, we are at your disposal. We have information, and we believe once you connect to the Primus, we will be able to help all of Modron kind and set things right.
The 3 spinning eyes that are set sort of like as if so, like, you have like the peak, like the pyramid that kind of goes up to the peak. The eyes are arranged in the opposite formation, so it's sort of like 2 eyes and then one below them, like in the middle. So they're forming a upside down triangle of eyes in the center of its like facial plate area, and like this like little mouth forms like just in the metal itself. The metal itself almost appears to be living, and it moves and forms a mouth, and it just says, "Greetings, unknown species. Connection to Primus lost. Directive unknown. Purpose unknown."
What was your last directive?
Accessing. Exterminate temporal interlopers.
Jarrell will walk over. Perhaps there's a potential for us to get you back to your Primus. Is that not your purpose?
We are Primus. We are. I am 43 cubed. 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 And it begins to just look around. I am 43 cubed. I am 43 cubed.
This guy's making a lot of sense.
It's all coming together. Are there other Modrons doing this as well?
Not yet.
Okay.
This is the only one we've given a crisis to so far.
Come with me, 43 cubed. We have a
We're
new
gonna
director
go over here and
for you.
murder you real quick and try to get directions.
If you do, please bring the communications array. It should be analogous to throat and possibly the ears. In fact, just bring whatever the whole neck analog would be.
And you have to be careful because you saw that when these were killed, they were just disintegrated into dust. You don't know if that same will happen now, but that is what was happening before. That was your only time witnessing a Modron die, and nothing was left besides dust.
I want to introduce this guy to Filbert.
Sure. All right. So you're like it like reaches out. It's like spindly little arm with this like little metallic 3-fingered hand towards yours. Lead the way. Unknown species. State species.
You can call me Hedrick. I'm an entertainer.
Species recorded as Hedrick Entertainer. 43 cubed welcomes you and says hello and greets you
And
joyously.
We welcome and greet you as well.
How polite.
These are our dear.
And you can see, like, as you're walking up, like, they're still, like, giving orders and this and that, and, like, you're, like, so you're beginning the introductions as, like, like, there's still a bunch of stuff happening, and and Ebenezer looks down very quickly and is just like, "Gah, what have you done? What is it friendly?"
It is 43 cubed. I'd like you to meet Ebenezer.
Greetings, unknown species. I am 43 cubed.
Yeah, so
And then it stares blankly at Ebenezer.
We were wondering, can you communicate with all the other Modrons?
Accessing. Local network. Lacking permissions.
Override lacking permissions. Because Hedrick knows what an override is.
Does not compute.
Correct, a mundo. Look, Ebenezer, we realize these beings are disconnected from the Primus. It seems like Vecna is gone for right now. We need to keep everybody safe, but I thought maybe this might be worth investigating.
Interesting. Well, we have quite a few problems on our hands, including the ley line issue. Would you happen to know anything about what happened there, by any chance?
Well, go ahead, Pregnart. Tell him.
Yeah, I tried to fix it, but they didn't want me to.
No, we have a temporary
and-
solution. That was very brilliant, Pregnart. However, I'm more asking what happened to the ley line to cause it to do that in the first place. Did you have something to do with this? I'm not
It's a bit
accusing.
confusing, but future version of you, and Jarrell points at Ebenezer, or you and Jarrell points at Filbert, or both of you together, maybe. I'm not really certain, but future version of maybe one of you.
I suggest you guys start wearing name tags.
And entered it seemed almost like a spirit version of himself entered the ley line and caused it to go sideways.
Well, we're not accusing.
This is troublesome indeed. Well, we need a plan. First things first, we need to stabilize the ley line so that our mages, because they can only hold it for so long. And Pregnart, it looks like you're still concentrating on this yourself.
Yeah. Do you want me to do an earthquake to it?
Please do not. No. Why would you even suggest that?
It's like a bathtub.
Just. No. In fact, I would suggest that you take that idea and just put it furthest away from the list of good ideas that we might come up with. In fact, just forget about it entirely.
Yeah, it's a good idea though, right?
It's not a good
you
idea.
said- you
No,
said
I did
put
not
it
say
in-
that.
It's in
I
the
never
list of
said
good
that.
ideas you said.
I did not say that at all.
Other characters that aren't the party interacting with Pregnart is always one of my favorites.
Well, listen, we have, like I said, a great many problems. We have the ley line problem. We also need someone to help. We have so many people in the tower, and we need to just tend to them. We need to keep them safe. We need to keep them, dare I say it, even just like, I don't know, find a way to keep their minds off of the chaos here as we attempt to piece together what's going on and see if there's any further danger currently. Everything's just happened so fast. I apologize. I'm usually a little bit more. I usually have my wits more about me, but this is. I've
you
never
think-
seen anything like this before.
Do you think that I was trying to do this? Do you think that there's a way to get the new Modron friends we have here to help us rebuild the structure around the ley line?
Yep.
They're friends now. And 43 cubed responds, friend. Yes. I am friend. I, 43 cubed, am your friend.
They are neutral and co-optable.
Tell me, 43 cubed, are you equipped with any sort of beacon?
Accessing. Accessing. Communication with Primus severed.
Do you think you could go around to all the other Modrons and kind of round them up to bring them back here?
Yes, I, 43 cubed, will round up the Modrons. Yes, we'll round them up.
That means come together and form one big crowd. Bring them here. Just bring all the Modrons here.
Upper limit 10,000.
I, as your friend, will not let you down. And it starts going over to each of the Modrons, just kind of like tapping them in the head, and suddenly you hear like, we have lost connection. We lost connection. I am. We are. I am. And then all of a sudden, all of them is just like it starts becoming almost a chorus of the we ares to the I ams, and all sorts of numbers now are starting to be thrown out there, and based on their shape, is the name that they're given themselves. So those with 3 points are that cubed. And then anything beyond cube, you have they just start giving like random designators out, where they start adding more number spaces, right, to their designators. So those with 4 points, like the or 5 points, the 4 points of the shield-shaped ones are 4 numbers long. So they are designating themselves anywhere from I am unit 3678. And you have things like, and then you have the star-shaped ones that are essentially just calling themselves literally star 1, star 2, star 3.
And they're more like a starfish.
Kinda, yeah.
They kind of have
yeah.
tendrils or whatever.
Yeah.
They're literally renaming themselves and reorganizing, so to speak.
They are giving themselves their own designators, and yet each of them, no matter it becomes a cacophony at some point, but nowhere in that cacophony do you hear a number that repeats.
And 43 cubed seems to be the new.
As the 5-pointed ones, the star-shaped ones, begin to be activated, those are the ones that start issuing orders among them, but at the same time they're all sort of acting freely, and now they're all just wandering around and be like, are you a friend? Hello, I am, and they're just they're introducing themselves now to everything and asking what species they are, and trying to collect information, because it seems like whatever they knew or whatever information they possessed or whatever was there is just they have no access to it whatsoever anymore. It's like they're being born again for the first time.
So who has a directive for our new friends? Any takers? And he holds up the pot of casting.
I still recommend 0.
Ebenezer says we should actually just consult with the mages there who are keeping the ley line at bay. They would probably they would know, and I have some schematics I could grab, and we could have them attempt to write the structure, and at least get everything set back in place. It won't be perfect, but we could continue to repair it more over time. Can't really fix the ground necessarily too quickly, but oh, what a disaster. But this might just work.
The one thing we're not sure about is that future spirit of yourself and what his current state is within.
Yes, that is a bit of a concern. We will tackle that problem once we stabilize this. I don't see any other adverse effects, and I want to make sure that we can prevent a global catastrophe if one has already not happened.
Would it help if we can reset time?
I mean, I don't really
From
quite
their
know.
frame of reference, no, it couldn't. From ours, maybe, but...
From what I can tell, we didn't... we stopped the foul upheaval. Correct?
We haven't
And
failed
Ull's still
yet.
here?
Is what still here?
I said, Ull's still here?
She's not wrong.
It's cut in half, but it's still here.
I mean...
Hey, I'll take a fisher to a crater any day.
Hey, remember what I said earlier? House money.
You certainly have a way with words, Zero.
I mean, well, I guess that is up to you. I don't know what will happen to us when you do that. I guess if I were to just assume, I mean, if we're talking about timelines, I don't know. Are there multiple timelines? Are there different ways to breach time? Will we just be stuck here stranded in this state without you?
Yeah, those are a lot of question marks left kind of open-ended.
Would be a nice thing to ask Dr. Hines if he could just show his face in a time of crisis like this.
He's here right now. He's just made of fish.
You told me this before, and then we tried to talk to this fish, and it was not successful. So I'm having a hard time understanding quite how all of this works, but obviously you must have a grasp on it as
Yeah,
you...
I've talked to him a lot of times. He's very helpful. He gives me a lot of good info.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do any
Now-
of your mages speak Aquan?
He thinks to himself for a moment. It's not really a course we teach here.
I speak
Not...
it.
That's wonderful for you, Pregnant.
I think that Ebenezer's picked up on the fact that maybe Pregnart isn't the one to go back and forth with the goldfish. And
Well,
I speak it very well. We got a lot of good information from Heinz before he's a fish. He's made out of fish and peanut butter cup.
Okay. How about this? First, in lieu of potentially resetting time and whatever you may do after that, we still need your help, he says. I don't mean to put this burden upon you, but ever since you arrived, well, things have been quite strange, and you seem to know a whole lot about them. We also, and he looks at Hedrick, who is decked out in all of his entertainment gear and all this, that could use some help keeping the people calm.
why don't you point me the way to your bard college?
We could do that, sure. We can, if you need to collect any supplies or materials. I mean, we have a lot of people here in the tower now, and well, we need someone to help us just assure them that everything's going to be okay.
Well,
We can only do so much, and some of our mages and other folks saw how enraptured the people were with your stories and your music when at the splash pad, right, the splash lagoon. Would it be too much to ask? I understand your purpose here is great, and I don't mean to take you from it. However, the people of Uhl need a soothing voice, and well, I've heard yours, and it's quite magnificent.
What about my voice?
So Hedrick, would you do? So Hedrick, would you be willing?
I'll be honest with you, Ebenezer. I'm not exactly in tip-top shape at the moment. Perhaps,
of course, we could heal you. We have
address this. And he points to this gashing wound where Boris had stabbed him.
Of course,
still like splurting blood here and there.
Yeah. Right away, of course. And out from a pouch, he produces 2 healing potions and hands them to you.
And Hedrick will slug them down and kind of like use the last little bit. Out of the
and just pour it on there. Yeah.
No, he's washing his hands.
Oh, perfect. With the healing
washing
potion.
The blood off of his hands.
Okay,
So he can kind of like clean them a little bit as he pulls his lute out, and he says, "Well, you just lead the way, and I'll start the show."
Sure. Mildred, can you make sure that Hedrick's rune has the access it requires, and show him where he's needed? I'm not sure if you have anything else to say to your companions or anything else you need to do at the moment, but I'm sure there's going to be plenty for you to do in the tower.
Do you need any last-minute tips on how to make your voice even more soothing for me?
I think
I know really good how to be soothing voice.
you should dig down deep from within and find your true voice. I think it's always been there. And you have the most beautiful voice I have ever heard from a McGuggle.
Thank you.
The qualifier is what does it.
So
That
he
sounds
wants
like a very good compliment, not backhanded at all.
I'm not exactly sure how much biology factors into it, little buddy, but I love the sound of your voice.
Thanks, Derek. Thank you so much.
Anything else?
And I know
Anything?
if
I'm sure
Dr.
someday your voice will get as good as mine.
One can only hope. One can only hope. And I know if Dr. Jadu were here right now, well, he'd be mighty proud of you.
Wait, he's right here. Do you want to say something to him? I'll translate.
Are you feeling okay?
Yes.
Any other words for your companion, Cedric?
He's got a song.
Let's hear it.
He's like, before I go, help these people with whatever I know how to do. I know tough times are ahead. And I'm not going to be able to be there with you. But I do hope this last little tune I have for you rings in your ears when it matters most. Combat rounds, every now and then I get a little excited that a battle's coming round. Combat rounds, every now and then a little part of me wants to sing it out loud. Combat rounds, fight guys, every now and then I do my part. Combat rounds, fight guys, even though I'm only just a bard. But I'm feeling so alive when we're killing foes together. There's a twinkle in my eyes, guiding blows to strike and sever. And we'll only be making it right because Vecna is wrong. Together we will conquer the darkest of nights. Rescue the world to bring out the light. One thing I can do to inspire the heart is help my friends rip these enemies apart. I'm leaning into the fight, for blood will be shed tonight. Those chumps will be dead tonight.
Wow. Wow.
So are we just like permanently inspired by that?
Actually, yes. Before we get to that, we're gonna end the episode here. If you couldn't catch the hint, audience, Hedrick has to step away from the show, and so we wanted to make sure that we had a sign off that was befitting such a beautiful and boisterous bard. What I will say for the remainder of this campaign, anytime you are about to enter combat, you will gain the benefit of his inspiring leader, which will be 20 temporary hit points.
Nice.
So every time you enter combat, like we start a new combat, his voice will ring in your head and you will gain 20 temporary HP. So write that down.
Jot that down real quick.
And with that, Phil, you know how much we love you. You know what an impact you've had on this story and this campaign. And if we don't see you again before the end, I just want to say it has been a genuine pleasure to have you in this party, and you will be deeply and sorely missed. However, your legend will ring on forever. And if you like us, and if you love us, and if you love Phil, you can come find us and talk to him and the rest of us on the internet.
I'll be there.
He'll be there. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Look for @HaplessHeroes. You can find us on Facebook and Reddit. Just look for Hapless Heroes Podcast. But those places also have sticky posts or things in the description, or even our show notes has a link to what we consider to be the crown jewel of our internet presence, where we do the most of our chatting and socializing, and that is our Discord server, where you can meet, interact with the whole cast, past, present, future, for the most part, although some folks lost access to their Discord accounts, Massimo. But the rest of us are in there and doing stuff. He did, but he just doesn't use it. Like he's just doing all the things. Like I'm gonna keep trying to poke him and prod him to get back in there. Anyways, but a lot of us in there, we're talking about the show, we're talking about other things. All of our episode talk is spoiler tags, so you don't have to worry about, like, if you're listening to this later and you haven't gotten to, what's most recent. Don't worry. Like, we try to make sure that we enforce, like, hey, if we're going to talk about this stuff, let's not spoil it for anyone else who might not be there yet. So we encourage you to come and join our burgeoning community. We have, over 100 people in there, maybe even more than that by the time this airs. Who knows? We just, it's a great time, and we love hanging out in there. We love talking with all of you, so come join us. But
I
if
got
you
a
really,
topic for Discord.
oh, okay, let's hear it.
If you deep fry a hot pocket, is it a chimichanga?
Great question. We'll put that in the foodstuffs channel. And the other question I'd like to pose to our audience is let's think back to the trajectory of all the songs that Hedrick has performed over the course of the show. Which parody or which song was your favorite? I want to hear that from you. So stick that in a spoiler tag with this episode number and tell us what your favorite Hedrick tune has been over the years. Thank you. And if you really, really like us, you could leave us a 5-star review on the podcast service of your choice. That would really help us grow in the ranks. We love to also just read the nice things you have to say about us. It's great for everybody involved. And then, if your podcast service doesn't allow you to do that, you can email us at haplessheroes@gmail.com, or hell, you can even leave us a review in the 5 stars channel on that aforementioned Discord server we talked about. And we'll read your nice words on the air, and we'll say some nice things back to you, and it's going to be a whole great thing. We really encourage you to do that. We love to hear from you. We want to know what you love about the show, because that just helps us keep doing it more and more. But if you really, really, really like us, you could donate to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/haplessheroes. We had a whole bunch of rewards in there, including some of those songs that Hedrick has performed over the years. And there's probably even more that I have to upload still to Patreon. So we got, just a whole bunch. If you can't get enough of Phil, don't worry. There's still plenty of Phil to be had. You could have your fill by donating to our Patreon. It's just patreon.com/haplessheroes. And yeah, again, thank you all to those who have been donating to us. You mean the world to us, and we just can't thank you enough.
And if you like us right now, you like us. Sally Field and the whole deal pose as a citizen of the lost, sunken continent of Atlantis, and write a letter to the editor of your local newspaper and implore them to promote and listen to our podcast, because that is the only way to make Atlantis rise again and join the world. And we then will all join hands and we'll share in the bountiful Atlantean technology of medicine and agriculture and science and magic and dance moves, probably, and we'll heal the world. That's it. Goodbye.
Okay, cool.
That's one of your best.
Yeah.
That was for you, Phil.
You cast a wide net there, my friend.
So, hey, listen, there's nothing left for me to do besides outro this lovely, wonderful, amazing cast for you. Starting on my virtual right, we have John playing Lord Jarrell the Light.
Until next time.
Zach as Pregnart.
Even though your voice isn't as good as mine, I will miss you, Hedrick.
Phil as the inimitable, the unique, the talented, the amazing Hedrick the Entertainer.
Hey, how you doing? It's good to see you. I know Enderworld crazy, right? Okay, you can follow me here. The session's about to begin. And don't forget to subscribe to Hedrick's Head. It's a podcast coming here to you. And Hedrick's Hits, the second album's going to be dropping anytime now.
Already a salesman. Perfect. And Nicole as Boris the Butcher.
Who's going to sing about me now?
And Dave as Zero Valen's Avatar of War.
Good night, everyone.
I'm Francesco. I've been your host and DM. We'll see you next week. I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.